Hey guys, it's your favorite book reading Ginger, and welcome to my book club. So, we are at the end of A Court of Mr. Fury by Sarah J Maas, and oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. Sarah J Maas was like, I'm going to take you on this emotional roller coaster and make you feel all the feels in these last chapters, and it was so good. So, recap on the book. Farah starts out with Farah in the spring court. She's getting married to Tamlin. She freaks out during their wedding. Rhysand comes in and fills in that bargain because remember she's got the tattoo with the bargain that she has to spend 1 week out of the month at the night court. She gets to the night court. She decides to join Rhysand's inner circle, be part of their team. They figure out that the King of Hybern wants to take over Prinith and the mortal realms. He wants to tear down the wall that separates the mortal realms from the fairy realms. So to nullify the cauldron, they go and they have to have this book of breathings, I think was the name, and it's broken in two parts. The mortal queens have one half, the summer court has the other half. So we went to the summer court, we stole a book, and now we are waiting on the second half from the Mortal Queens. We got to see the Court of Nightmares to get the Veritas orb so they could reveal Valeris to make the Mortal Queens trust them. We got to see Starfall. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted some amazing fan art from Starfall. It was so beautiful. I love Starfall. It's in really started shipping Rhysand and Farah. Oh my gosh, love them. So now we start off in this ending. Farah and Rhysand have been Rhysand's been training Farah to use her powers that she got from the High Lords. When they revived her and made her Fae, and she's training out in these wooded area, and Lucian finds her. Total surprise to see Lucian, but he's brought 4 guards from the spring court, and he's telling her how she needs to come back. Tamlin's not himself, that he's just he's not himself. She needs to come back, and she's like, no, I'm not going back. And she's like, y'all locked me up. You let him lock me up. You saw this going on and you did nothing to stop it. And y'all, she sprouts out wings. It was so cool. Illyrian warrior wings. Of course she can shapeshift. That's one of the powers she got from Tamlin. And while she's doing this, these wings just sprout out her back, and it's so cool. And I have so many questions about these wings. Are they functional? Can she fly with her wings? That would be so cool. So we don't get to see her fly in this book, but there's still one more book. There's a chance she could be fly. She could fly. That would be so cool. Her and Rhysand can fly over Valeris together. I love it. She made these wings just sprout of her back. It was so cool. So that happens, which is so neat. And so while all this is going on, after they leave, Rhys comes in, he sees her wings, and then of course Lucian, and then they leave, and Rhysand and Farah go on their way. There's a scene at the end. Y'all know what happens at the end. They check into and they stay at with the one bed. Very, very strange scene to me, because he just gets her off, and it's weird. I didn't care for it, but they are flying. Rhysand's holding Farah. They're flying, and he gets shot with these ash arrows, and he kind of tosses Farah off, so I guess so the hunters don't find her, that they're attacking them. And she's trying to call him through the bond, and she can't reach him. And so she's like trying, she's a hunter, so she's trying to track him. She finds his track, she finds like his scent intertwined with her scent. And she starts tracking him, and she finds him, and he's like in chains, and he's got all these like dozens and dozens of arrows in his wings. And like she just goes and she starts killing him. Like she just winnows and kills, winnows and kills, winnows and kills. Like she's badass. Like she, all of them dead. So she's trying to get like the arrows out of Ryson's wings, and she's like sawing them off and like trying to pull them through. And she's telling him about when she had enough paint to paint one summer. Like one summer she's telling me they had a little extra money, and she bought these paints. And she's telling him about the dresser that she painted. And of course you learn about this dresser, I think, back in book 1, that she painted flowers on Elaine's door, on Elaine's dresser drawer. She painted the flames on Nesta's, and on her, he asked, what did you paint on yours? And she tells him that, she painted a starry night sky, like this was, somehow part of her must have known that she would be here eventually. So, she gets all these arrows out of his wings. They're in a cave, and like he's got fever. He's not doing well. Ryson is practically, and he's like dying, I'm pretty sure. So she's like, okay, I gotta do something to save him. So what does she do? She goes and catches the Cyril again. From the first book, remember, she caught him, and they were like, could not believe that she caught him. Everybody has been so impressed that she caught it. And if you remember, she did, she let it go. She saved it when the Naga came and attacked them. So she goes and catches it again, and it's like, better be good, Farah. It knows her. I think he calls her curse worker this time. So she asks, how do I heal him? And we find out that, I think it mentions the day court. She actually has healing powers. So a few, a mouthful of her blood should work. And I think a powder or like a flower that she can mix and beat or crush up into a powder. But she's like, give your mate this. And Farrah's like, what? My mate, what? And the Cyril's like, oh, you did not know the High Lord of the Night Court is your mate. And I was like, oh my gosh. But like part of me like kept thinking, like when I really started like liking them as a couple, like they're in game, like they gotta be mates. But I was like, wouldn't she know if they're mates? But I guess because there was so much going on, and she was so like in love with Tamlin, that I guess she didn't realize it, and she was such in a bad place when her and Rysand first met. Like, she didn't like Rysand. I didn't even like Rysand at first. She thought he was cocky, and she wanted to help him, but then they started flirting, and I guess it never occurred to her that, I mean, she's new to this Fae thing, so like, because I kept thinking like maybe they're mates. And I was like, well, wouldn't she know if they were mates? Like, wouldn't the mating bond click into place? So I was kind of like, not shocked, but excited, because I was like, yes, because I like so love them together. So I was really excited. I was like, yes, they're mates. So, but Farrah's mad because Rysand knew they were mates and didn't tell her. So she does heal him, and then they get back to he gets enough energy, I guess, to winnow them to the Lyrian camp, and they get there, and he like falls in the mud, and like Cass and Azriel and Moore are like concerned, and she's just like, she goes up to Moore, she's like, get me out of here, I went away from him. So she winnows her away, Moore does, to this family cabin of theirs. And she's like, you can stay here and take all the time you need. So she does. She stays there, and like she paints, and she's, Moore comes by and checks on her, and it's just really, the cabin is pretty neat. Like apparently it just like is in tune to your senses. Like if you want something, it just appears. It was pretty cool. So pretty neat cabin. So she's there, and Moore is like, would it be, is it so bad to be his mate? Like, and she's like, no. So Rysand finally figures it out, tracks her down there, shows up, and it's like, let's talk. And she offers to fix him some soup, a can of soup, I guess, to warm him up some soup. And he's like, oh, you would cook me food? And she's like, yeah. And he was like, well, it's very, it's a, very important thing when a mate cooks food. Like, that means you accept the bond. So she's like, well, you talk, I'll cook, and then we'll see. So, I mean, a lot of people are like very stuck on chapter 55. I mean, chapter 55 is good, don't get me wrong. But chapter 54 is where he lays his heart out. And I just cried reading that. I mean, how could you not? Like, it was just so beautiful. He just laid his heart out for Feyre and was like, And, it was just awesome. And, like, he talks to her, and he goes back to, like, he had these dreams of her, like, this human hand painting, and they started while he was under the mountain. And I was like, wow, but, you think about it, they were under the mountain for 50 years. Feyre is only, like, 21 at this point. Yeah, 21, I think. So, I mean, for the first 30 years, she wasn't even born, like, while they were under the mountain. So, but, like, while he's under the mountain, he starts to get, and he says they're, like, blurry because he thinks because of the wall, but, like, they're a human hand painting, and he's just, like, these images, and he's talking, like, stuff that she remembers painting. And then, he starts talking about, he sees the Bogue and all this, and he knows that she's on their side, she's in Pryneth. And, he was just, he's seen something about the fire night, so that's why he went out for fire night. And he was like, I just didn't want to even know your name, because if I knew anything about you, I knew Aramitha could use that against me to torture, to hurt me, to torture me, and by hurting you. And he talked about he like woke up one morning with like her scent in his nostrils. And he thought when he saw her on fire night, he was like, I'm pretty sure, like, I knew then you were my mate. He was like, but, like, he got all these dreams about her. So when she showed up under the mountain, he was like, oh, my gosh. He was like, my worst fears came to life. There you were, and they were hurting you. And, he did that bond to save her, but to not seem too nice, I guess, to still keep up the... to still keep up his, I guess, bad boy image, and then he talked about, hearing her neck snap, and, feeling that bond that he still felt her there, and he kept hold on to that, hoping, he was like, I told those High Lords to give you the magic, hoping it would work and bring you back. And and he was like, I was gonna let you go and marry Tamlin. He was like, I just kept telling myself, if you were happy, that's all that mattered. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and he just poured all of this out to her, and it was just, like, I love that part. Like, just, I want a book, Sarah J Maas. I want a book from Tamlin's point of view, like, the Under the Mountain from Tamlin's point of view. Or not from Tamlin, Rysand's point of view. I need that book. Make it happen. It was just so beautiful. Well, then, of course, chapter 55, where they complete that mate and bond, and they have sex on the table, and there's paint involved, and there's a bathtub big enough for wings involved, and a bed, eventually. So, very awesome, very awesome. Loved it. I was very excited. And it just made me so happy. I was like, yes. So while all this is going on, when they have to finally get back to reality, the Mortal Queens have contacted them to meet. So we head to the human realm, to their place, to meet the queens. Of course, like, they show them Valeris. They say no. And when they leave, they see this little box sitting on, like, the couch. The younger queen actually, it was the book, the younger queen actually, like, smuggled the book in, and she had a little note written in there about how, like, she dreams of a better world, that she wants peace, so she gave them to have the book. So now they have both halves of the book. So They send Amryn to go start decoding. You know, she has that other half now, so now we can really figure out how to nullify this cauldron. But in the meantime, we find Cassian and Farah. They're having a little outing as friends. Bryson's doing business in the Court of Nightmares, and they're just kind of walking around Valeris. And all of a sudden, that young queen drops from the sky dead, and like this legion of otters comes with them and a high-born soldier. So they've been betrayed by these mortal queens when they showed them Valeris, and now they're attacking Valeris. I actually, like, when I found out that Valeris was okay, I actually ended up loving this because how badass Farah is. But in the moment, I was, like, freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, like, Valeris, no! Like, this town has been kept safe for 500 years, no! And, but, you know, Cassian's, like, telling Farah to run, and Farah's like, no, this is my home, this is my city. I'm gonna fight for it. And oh my gosh, y'all, she was awesome. She like she makes these water wolves out of water from the river and like attacks these soldiers and like drowns them. And then like the ones that are flying in the air, she makes her water wolves into like water eagles and like drowns them in the sky. And then some of them like she just like makes the eagles just like burst over them and they're wet, and then she freezes them and then they like drop to the ground and shatter in a million pieces. Like, she was so badass. I was like, yes, go Farah, you save Valeris. And then she goes after the otter, you know, and the otter, we remember him from Under the Mountain. Like, Farah like did him in and he deserved it. But like, she's fighting with the otter, like he's flying, she's winnowing. And like you know, she's trying to get this otter, and Ryson's like, where are you, and she's like, she blocks him out, like he's calling her through the bond, and she blocks him out, and she is like, I mean, she kills the otter. I mean, it was great. That was awesome. Like, he got every bit of it he deserved, and she was like, this is for me, this is for Ryson. I mean, he did Farah like got him good. You know, and of course they talk later, and Ryson was like, you blocked me out. He's like, but you know, he was like, okay, you know, he was proud of her stepping up, saving his city, you know, that was awesome. His mate did that. So it was really good. So we get the book decoded, we figure out how to nullify the cauldron. We have to find out that Farah has to be kind of like this conductic between like the book and the cauldron. Like, she has to like touch it though, and somehow that nullifies it. So they decide to go to the cauldron is at the king's palace, of course, and that's where they're gonna go. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll like winnow you in and you'll do it, and then we'll just be out before you ever notices. And like, already I kind of thought this was not a good plan. I was like, it's not gonna be that easy, guys, but yeah, they go with it. So they winnow Farah in, and like, we finally see this cauldron. Now, I was thinking this cauldron was like, you know, black, of course, like Black Witch's cauldron. But I figured because a whole continent came out of it, you know, all of Prinith came from this cauldron, I thought it'd be like huge, like, we talking about like swimming pool huge, like really big, because a continent, you know, all of this came out of it, you know, all of Prinith came out of this cauldron. It is described as the size of a bathtub. I was like, what the hell? Prinith came out of a bathtub? Like, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I ain't got that big of a bathtub, so I was kind of surprised. I was expecting like this huge cauldron, like huge cauldron, and it's the size of a bathtub. I was a little disappointed in the cauldron. So I was expecting something really big, and no, it's the size of a bathtub. It's, you know, it's not that impressive, I guess. So they start to, I guess, try to nullify it. And so in this throne room, or, well, we're not in the throne room right now, but in the room where the cauldron is, we have more Azriel, Cassian, Rhysand, and Feyre. Jurian walks in. Now, if you remember Jurian, he's the one that Aramitha had, like, his eyeball on his finger on around her neck on, like, necklace form. And they had talked about at the beginning of this book, can he be brought back to life? Sorry, took me a while to get that out. Apparently he can, because here he walks in, and of course behind him comes the King of Hybrid. We've been caught. Like, kind of figured we wouldn't be, but you know, I was hoping for the best. So he takes them and the bathtub to his throne room, or the cauldron, whatever, the bathtub shaped cauldron. I guess he just like uses power and levitates it out. So they go to the throne room, and the part I was not expecting, guess who else is in the throne room? Tamlin and Lucien. I did not see that coming. I knew Tamlin was desperate, but I didn't think he was that desperate, because he allies himself with the king to get Feyre back. And I was like, what? And Feyre was like, what? And everybody was shocked, because, like, I mean, really, Tamlin, really, out of all things you could have done, you can, yeah, that's what you chose. That's what you chose. You have lost your mind. Which, when we're in the throne room, this is some of the most emotional stuff I had ever read. It was terrifying and horrible. Azriel gets shot with an ash arrow. We have, they're standing there. Her sisters are being brought in by Hybrid soldiers. They are bound, they are gagged, they are still in their nightgowns, so obviously they were probably just like taken from their bed. Everybody is in shock. Cassian and all of them, you know, rush to get to them. The king like sends out this power that like pins them down, and Cassian's wings get like shredded, and it just, oh my gosh, that like broke my heart. Sarah's writing was so good here. I mean, like, tears flowing, because, you know, she's talking about Cassian screaming, and I don't know, you know, like, his wings, I mean, oh my gosh, that was just heartbreaking. And then, of course, they shove Elaine in the cauldron. It spits her back out, and she's Fae. You know, her ear, you know, they talk about her hair being like plastered to her head, and you can see her little Fae ears sticking out because she's now Fae. And they go to throw Nesta in there. Well, Nesta, of course, is Nesta, so she's fighting tooth and nail. And as she goes in, she flips the king of the bird, and it spits her back out, and she's Fae too. And while all this is happening, we found out Lucien goes to Elaine, because like covers her up with a jacket, and they like see each other face to face, and Lucien's like, oh my gosh, you're my mate. So Elaine's got a mate now, and it's Lucien, and I'm just like, Sarah J Maas, what are you doing to me? Because what the hell is going on? Like, oh my gosh, this is too much. And if it couldn't get any worse, like, Feyre starts acting like Rhysand tricked her. She's like, Tamlin, what's going on? And like, she's trying to tell Rhys, like, get my sisters out of here, while I'm playing like I've been tricked by you. And she tells the king, oh y'all, she tells the king, I read this part, it tore me up. She tells the king to break the bond. And I was like, no. Like, I mean, oh. And he does it. Like, he breaks the bond between her and Rhysand, and she's like talking about the pain, how it hurts, and I'm crying, and I'm just like, no. And apparently, like, when we went in, she had gloves on, so Tamlin rips off her glove, and her hand's bare, like, is no longer there. And while, you know, they're distracted by this, Rhysand winnows out, you know, Cassian, and like, they all winnow out, and they're gone, and she's just like, oh my gosh, you know, Tamlin. And I'm just like, what? No! And she's like, take me home. And I'm like, no, the spring court's not your home. It's the night court. Like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? But it was like I guess the only way she saw out. So it was a big sacrifice. It hurt way deep in here. I was very upset. So they went, I guess, out. So we go back to the night court, and the last chapter of the book is from Rysand's point of view. And, you know, Amren, she stayed and kind of kept Valeris safe, you know, made sure nothing happened while they were gone to the King of Hybern's palace. And she's like, where is she? Where's Farah? And, you know, Mora is telling her what happened. Mora is telling her, you know, she asked the king to break the bond, and she's like, no, the king can't break that bond. And she's like, well, he did. And Rysand speaks up, and he's like, no, it can't be broken. So they all look at Rysand because they're like, what? Like, we saw this. And he tells them that, hold on, I'm going to read y'all actually what he says because I loved it. He says, the king broke the bargain between us. He had to, but he couldn't tell that it was the mating bond. So they apparently got mated, you know, with the mating bond. So he didn't break the mating bond. He broke the bargain bond, I was like, oh, okay. So we're not totally doomed. And, you know, and she's mad. She's like, you go get her right now. And he's like, no. He was like, you know, she's going in that house as my spy. And she was like, no, she's your mate. She's not your spy. Go get her. And she's like, she is my mate. She is my spy. And she is the High Lady of the Night Court. Now, if you remember earlier in this book, Tamlin told Farah there is no such thing as High Ladies. Well, you know, Rysand and Farah were like, haha, look now, I am one. Ooh, what now? So she became a High Lady. I think she's probably the first High Lady. So that's pretty cool. And I love where he was like, not consort, not wife. Farah is High Lady of the Night Court, my equal in every way. She would wear my crown, sit on a throne beside mine. She would never sideline, never designated to breeding and parties and childering. She is my queen. So I love that. She, you know, he was like, she is my equal. And so it ends there. So Farah, so we end with, you know, Farah is in the night court, and you know, they talk about, he makes the comment, if they had removed her other glove, they would have seen their mating bond. So I guess while she's at Spring Court, she has it glimmered. So that's the end of A Court of Mist and Fury. Thoughts? Any thoughts that y'all have would be greatly appreciated if you want to drop some thoughts. My thoughts, I'm still stuck on the wings, like from earlier. I just want to know in the next book, will we see her doing any flying? And she's in the Spring Court. So, oh my gosh. So she is like hiding out in the Spring Court. She is a spy. I just want to know how this is going to play out. What are her plans? And, you know, and her sisters are Fae. So they're in the Night Court. Lucian and Elaine are mates. And war is obviously coming. They did get the book. They did take the book back to the Night Court. So, and the king knows they have it. So, very curious about how this is going to play out. Is he going to come after the Night Court? He's already attacked Valeris once. I mean, we are going to have to go to war probably before it's over with. I just wonder how it's going to play out, though. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. So, next book is A Court of Wings and Ruin. It is the third and final book We're going to do the first half of the book on one live stream, and then the next live stream will be the second half of the book. So the first half will be chapters 1 through 41. Or, yeah, I think so. So, next week I won't stream. That way that will give everybody, because it's a lot of chapters, so that way they'll give everybody plenty of time to read all the chapters, and then I will stream again on January 23rd. And on January 23rd, I will announce our next book. So you'll want to make sure you watch, and of course, you follow my Instagram page, you get all those updates. So it's gonna be exciting. Like I said, if there's ever a book y'all want me to read, let me know. You can comment below if there's ever a book you want me to read that you suggest. I want to know y'all's thoughts on this video. Let me know. You can comment below and let me know what you thought on this book. How are you liking it? Are you liking it? What do you think is going to happen in the third book? I would love to know your thoughts. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good book, I think. I think it's going to, I mean, it's the third and final, so makes me nervous because we haven't lost like any major characters, so I'm so nervous because I'm like, are you gonna kill somebody off in this third and final book or break my heart? Oh, and we're also gonna read the novella afterwards, so it's gonna be good. I'm very excited. And as I mentioned earlier, there was some fan art that I put on Instagram. If y'all do fan art, please send it to me. I love like looking at the fan art from this book. So if you do any fan art, please tag me in it on Instagram. I would love it. I would love to see it. Yeah. Also, if you are loving these books as much as I am, you should go totally check out on Instagram Starfall Court. They're making like a fan film like of the books, and they've got like some amazing cosplayers that are going to be doing like the characters, and you should go check it out. Like, you really should. I think it's going to be, yeah, they've already got some videos up, and they look really good. Like, they put a lot of work into this. It looks really good. So, yeah, Starfall Court. You should go totally check them out. I am the Book Reading Ginger. I'll be back January 23rd at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. It would make my day if you would like this video. Subscribe to my channel, and if you want to know when I'm going live again, you can hit that little bell. I will see y'all then. Thanks for watching tonight. Happy reading. Bye, guys.